All right. Hi, everyone. We are just going to wait for our attendees to trickle in. So we will begin the webinar in about 2 minutes, just giving everyone a little bit of time to get ready, get in, get situated, grab your water, your coffee, and then we will get started at 12. So
Energy drink.
Yeah, for sure. For our attendees that are just entering now, we are just giving about a minute more for the rest of the attendees to trickle in. We'll get started in just a bit. All right, hello everyone. We are so excited to have you here. We are going to get started. Welcome. My name is Rachel, and I am the Marketing Communications Specialist here at the SBDC. The Temple Small Business Development Center helps small businesses start, grow, and succeed. We do this through our no-cost consulting and a variety of no-cost webinars and training programs like the one that you're attending today. So you are joining us for what to put on your website, content writing tips and tricks. We are going to be recording today's session, and a copy of that recording and the PowerPoint will be sent to all of you within a few days in a follow-up email. All of our attendees have been muted, but we do encourage you to post any questions that you have in the Q&A or in the chat. And now I'm going to turn the floor over to our presenter today, Jane Clark.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jane Clark. You know why you're here today? We're going to learn what to put on your website now that you have one. Just a little bit about me. I'm the creative director of BrandSwan. I've been a business owner for over 14 years. I started out as a web designer, actually. I'm a multidisciplinary graphic designer and front-end web developer. I've been doing it a long time, and I specialize in brand strategy, web design, and SEO. And for any Harry Potter fans out there, I thought this was supposed to be where you should build your website. Is it?
Yes, it is supposed to be where you should build your website.
Oh, no.
Oh,
well, hold on. No, it's okay. I have that presentation too.
Perfect. So sorry. I should have recognized
It's okay.
That. Sorry about that, guys. We'll get that pulled up.
Oh my gosh, I'm so glad, because I could have been talking who knows for how long.
Yeah, thank you very much, Christina, for catching us with that.
Da, 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 da. All right, we're pulling up Jen's presentation, but so my day job, I'm the creative director of BrandSwan, and we help small businesses, startups, and well-established companies and nonprofits with bold branding, savvy websites, and marketing that matters. So I know a lot about web design, so don't worry, I've got you guys. So today we're gonna learn about where should you build your website. And there's a lot of platforms out there, and there's even some not on our list that we might even recommend based on whatever industry you're in. So let's take a look at some of the players. And if you're a startup especially, there really isn't a wrong answer per se. It comes down to what your priorities are. So for example, let's say you really care about how your website looks. You want it to be modern. You want it to be fast. You want it to be, you know, just maybe you're selling products. So think about that one thing that you're trying to accomplish, and then pick the platform best for that. And there's a lot of platforms that can do Some of them are just the same. There might not be a better answer. However, what I will say is that if you choose a website platform builder like Wix or Squarespace, Shopify, you can't move your site. You have to rebuild it. And the reason for that is because they have their own proprietary platform. So no other developer but their developers and their servers can even run the website. And that's because, they have their very own custom website builders and, their way of making the web easy for you to add your content and images and even your news articles. So there are some platforms that don't do blogs very well. So if you want to make sure that you have a very strong content presence and maybe a SEO strategy for content, some might not be the best answer for that. So what we don't recommend. So basically, nothing's a wrong answer except for these two. We've been doing this a long time, and these are just the ones that we don't like. And I know you're going to be sad about it because who here uses GoDaddy? Come on, don't be shy. Just let us know. GoDaddy 10 years ago is actually really good. I really liked them. They were everything from buying your domain to hosting. But since the world has changed a little bit, oh, you can't see my presentation. Well, that's a problem. Let me save you. Are you good? Let me see. All right, we got 2 people use GoDaddy. All right, only 2 people I think are confessing at this point. And then you have Constant Contact, which is they obviously use, them because it's for email marketing campaigns, right? But they also have websites built in. And we don't recommend that because, we're kind of like, come on, Constant Contact, can you stay in your lane a little bit? Because although they do it, they don't do it well. And so now you have an ugly website and it doesn't really work the way you want. And now you have to rebuild it someplace else. So all I can say is nothing's a wrong decision except Constant Contact and GoDaddy. Recommended host? Sure. Go back here. Again, we're going to go into it more in depth. So I'm going to keep going because this is just a couple of the platforms that we could even consider. So please do yourself a favor, stay away from GoDaddy and Constant Contact if you can. GoDaddy is good for buying domains and everything, but again, if you're using their builder, they just aren't the top players. So let's talk about things to consider. And there's even something here called lock-in, which I'll explain in a minute. But let's talk about WordPress.org, Squarespace, Shopify, and Wix. So the initial setup, and this is based on not too great and the best setup possible. WordPress.org is really, really great for custom websites, but there's a lot of setup that goes into it. You have to pick a theme, you have to customize that theme, then you have to add your content and, the one thing that's really great about it, though, is that it has a lot of functionality, which I love. From online booking links to SEO plugins, and just making your website really cool, because websites today aren't just a confirmation that you exist, right? It's a digital environment where you have the opportunity to talk about your company culture, and not only in the words that you put on there, but the way it feels, the way it looks, how fast or slow it is, how it transitions into pages, the call to actions that are on there. So think about what these things look like. And I would start with, again, your number one purpose. What am I doing? What's the purpose of my website? Am I selling stuff? If you're selling things, then obviously you want to come here and say, okay, what is the best for e-commerce? You're going to come here and notice a lot of them are actually pretty good. Now, if you were to ask me my personal opinion, I would say if you're mostly a product-based store, like that's really all you do, then I would go to Shopify because they're really great at that. WordPress has very great e-commerce plugins, and you can build an Amazon if you wanted. Maybe not that good, unless you had a couple $100,000. I don't know, maybe more. I personally never worked on $1 million website myself. But yeah, so all of these are really great. Another consideration is, hey, do my products have options? So let's say you're selling, You might sell a case of Monster Energy drinks or a single Monster Energy, but what if you wanted to be able to customize the flavor of that Monster Energy instead of having 8 different products of Monster flavors, just to have one product with different flavor options? So think about how you want that interface to look like and what people are expected or what they're expecting when they are shopping. Now, Amazon, Walmart.com, all of these platforms are kind of like they're the #1 e-commerce stores in the country. Dare I say the world? No, I don't know. In the country. So many people use them and they're used to that experience when they're navigating a website. So again, knowing who your client is and what they expect will really help you pick the platform that is best suited. Secondly, there's a lot of industry-specific websites. So what I mean by that is, let's say you're a moving company, for example. If you go to a moving company and they don't have a request a quote form top and center, they're doing something wrong, because that's why people go there, right? They need a mover and they want to know how much it's going to cost. So that is the first thing they see. So what is that? That's a contact form, right? So now they're like, okay, well, who is the best and nicest looking contact forms? Furthermore, regardless of which platform that you use, a lot of them have, let's call them extended functionality, where they can actually integrate with other platforms. So for example, WordPress, my website at WordPress can integrate with MailChimp. So someone can fill out a newsletter sign up form on my website, and then it goes into MailChimp. So I don't have to manually enter that, and that's really cool. I think websites should do so much more for you today. It should almost be like a personal assistant, you know? And a lot of it's going to come down to what your industry calls for, how you can make it better. I have a slightly competitive spirit, so I'm always thinking about that. You know, like, especially if you're in a saturated market, how can you make your website a little bit better than theirs? What can you offer? But then you are going to be limited by your ease of use. So if you're not super savvy with technology, you want to pick something that's really, really basic, drag and drop, where it's not going to frustrate you. And I think that's definitely a consideration. So think about that. Secondly, let's say, or thirdly, actually, I don't even know what number I'm on at this point, but the theme customization, you know, some of them, you can't customize them a whole lot. So for example, Wix over here is a 1-star because they have themes. And I think Wix has sort of outdated looking themes, but they are mobile friendly. They are, you know, but Wix can do a lot more than some of the other sites too. Wix, I would recommend for like long websites and large websites. I really like their navigation style there. So yeah, for that. So again, if you want to make a theme that's completely custom and no one else has it, you know, going with these type of companies isn't the best. WordPress, you can pick from like so many themes, hundreds of thousands of themes that you can install. Now let's go to SEO. And SEO, we know we need to do it, but why? And that's really to help the search engines find your site and connect that with your visitor, you know, people who are looking for you. It's not really a black hat tactic, or, you know, doing anything that, you know, it's not I would say a black hat tactic. It used to be a black hat tactic back then. Like, okay, how can we trick the search engines? How can we beat our competitors? But Google's smart now, and you know, and there's a lot of tools out there that will help you rank your website. So, 1 second. This is the funnest presentation I've ever been in. So my bulldog is like, you must open the window now or I will ruin your entire presentation. So here we are. The extended functionality is definitely where you can connect with other plugins. And again, think about it. Like, who here knows about Calendly? Or Doodle? Anyone use Doodle, Calendly? Yeah. So these are outside sites, but they give you links so that you can integrate into your website. So even if you aren't necessarily using a built-in function of any of these platforms, you can still utilize, some cool stuff like that without having to pay, some of the hosting costs, which is really what I think it comes down to for startups, especially. So the support is also big, because if you're going to be doing WordPress support, they have great online documentation, but there isn't anyone you can call, because WordPress.org is really meant for developers. So you need to get a developer if you get stuck, because you can't like call WordPress for help. Squarespace, Shopify, Wix. Wix, I don't think you can call anyone per se, which is why their star isn't so high. So think about that. If you think you're going to need help, maybe stick with something that has more support. A lot of them are like ticket systems or chat features. So if you're someone who likes to talk on the phone, you might be looking at a GoDaddy builder. That is the one upside about GoDaddy, is that they do have excellent support. I don't care for them, but any issues you run into, they should be able to help you. Let's talk a little bit about cost, and then I'm going to open this up to questions. So free hosting, WordPress.org itself is free, the platform, and then the hosting is really going to range on where you host it. And I will give you guys some recommendations if you decide you want to do a WordPress.org one. Squarespace, anywhere between 12 and 40 bucks a month. Shopify 30 to 80, and then Wix is 15 to 40. So they're all pretty close. Shopify charges you more because they can also give you a payment gateway. So it really helps with, setting up PayPal or some other merchant account to actually process your payments. They sort of take care of it for you. And I think that's why their price is a little bit higher. All right, guys, let's see what kind of questions you have for me. Okay. Bear with me, guys. We have a lot of questions and comments. Okay. Dawn Green, I have a WordPress site that got malware and now it is dead in the water and no one to help except to pay $300 a year to have it fixed. I can't afford it, and I just found out there is no WordPress place to help you because it's open source. You would have never used that. Oh, geez. Sorry to hear about that, Dawn. I would say no matter where you're going to be paying some decently sized bucks. I would say on average hosting is about 180 minimally. And that's just to pay for a basic hosting plan on a decent hosting account that can support enough resources to run some of the more popular themes like Divi, for example. There's a lot of wonderful themes out there, but they're very resource intensive, and a lot of hosting companies just don't want to give you the resources. So that's why I recommend who I recommend, and we should see that later in the presentation. So yeah, $300 a year is actually really inexpensive. I think at BrandSwan, we charge a minimum of like $385 a year. So if someone's offering that to you, it's probably a good deal, especially if they're doing some updates for you, which is what we offer. So that's pretty in line with what it costs. Sakita, I hope I said that right. My business service based, I'm considering using Deluxe. What do you think? I don't know what Deluxe is. What company is Deluxe? Is it a GoDaddy thing? Let me know. Akima, not tech savvy at all. So what's the easiest to navigate? I'm a food-based business with products, services, and potentially online classes. Wow. I know that WordPress.org, you can install a plugin called LearnDash, and that allows you to build custom courses, and it's so fun. Like you can even have people print like certificates on the like after they complete the course and get badges and stuff. So it can really be like a cool place to hang out and just, level up in real life. So it depends how cool it is. If you have the budget, the good thing about WordPress is if you do decide to use WordPress, you can grow for life. WordPress has been around a long time. And there's just so many more possibilities when it comes to the extended functionality and being able to integrate with other people who have great ideas, like an online course. So that's a tough one. So if you want your online course and your site to be all in one, then I would recommend WordPress. If you are more of a product side of things, I would do Shopify and maybe link off maybe the course is on a different platform. There's a lot of different courses out there. So that would be a more complex strategy that we would want to take a look at. If you're interested, feel free to give me a buzz and I can kind of walk you through the plan that I would do quickly. But yeah, that's a tough one. You can't always get everything you want with one platform, unfortunately, unless you do it from a custom standpoint like WordPress. Regina says, last week I got a live person in Wix. That's awesome. I'm glad that they offered that. Oh, and they'll call you right back. Hey, that's better than having to wait on hold with really bad jazz music. So that's not too shabby. Plus, I think the IRS are doing that too. I should have taken it. Are all of these hosts as well? Christina Hicks asked, or do you need a secondary host? Gotcha. So WordPress is like a free software that you put on your own server. So that would be the only case you would need to find a hosting company. Squarespace, Shopify, and Wix, they have their own platforms on their own hosting account. So when you're paying these monthly costs, that includes the hosting as well. And they have a range of it. And based on that range, you just get more stuff like a store or what have you. Hope that answers your question. I'm so sorry, Dawn. HostGator is a nightmare. We do not recommend them. I guess I should have added that to the list. There's so many, and honestly, they've all been really good at some point, but then you have something happen and you have to support, and that's when, you know, things can kind of change. But I have an open mind. Maybe they'll bounce back. So I'm really sorry about HostGator. Okay, deluxe.com. Sakita, I don't know about deluxe.com at all. So I'm sorry, I can't answer that one. And because I don't know about it, I would be like, don't do it, because I'm like safer, sorry. But if you see a lot of social proof and a lot of people and they have really high ratings from actual testimonials, I mean, give it a go. Plus, I think, let's be realistic, guys. Like, I don't think you're just going to jump on a platform and be like, this is it. This is a dream platform. Like, try them out. There's sometimes you have free trials, so you can really test these and see if they work for you, right? So that would be what I recommend. See if they work for you, then just cancel all the others and just stick with the one that works, right? Okay, so Richard Hahn asked, what about 1N1? I don't know. Are they, answer a couple of questions. Do you use 1N1, Richard? I have people who've used them, like clients who I've inherited, they use them and I've never had any problems. So I would say that's probably fine, but I can't recall if they have a builder or if it's just a hosting company. Yeah, I would explore 1N1. I have an open mind towards them. Akima, so WordPress doesn't host. Actually, to complicate things even further, guys, WordPress has a non-free version called WordPress.com. So WordPress.org is like their open source free that developers can use to build their own stuff. And then they have a one that they charge for that they offer to people who weren't developers, such as yourselves. And it's WordPress.com. So if you go there, they will host your website. You're basically getting like a dumbed down version of the .org. But if you really want to get your feet wet with WordPress, you could give that a go. They've changed a lot since I've looked at it, so I don't know what they're like now, but I would feel comfortable saying that you can explore that. But yeah, I hope that answered your question. Okay, we have 2 more questions in the Q&A. Is Shopify good for drop shipping? That's a good question. I would have to Google that one. But you know, there's a lot of other, they operate with some third providers as well. And I bet you can do cool stuff like be able to calculate shipping on the fly from UPS or FedEx. So I'd imagine that you'd be able to do that. Yeah, I'd imagine that you'd be able to do it through your store. Just start Googling, and I think that's yeah. So I can't answer your question specifically, but I have a good feeling that they probably do. Next question from Christina Hicks. Are all of these hosts as well? Okay, all right. I already answered those. Thank you, Christina. I got you eventually. Next time I'll give the Q&A people priority. But thanks for your interactions, guys, and your questions were awesome. So I think we're ready to move on. Okay. And don't worry, guys, you are going to get a copy of this presentation. I'll send it afterwards. So this kind of goes over a little bit of the terminology that you need to know. So for WordPress, you do have to set up your own hosting account. Most hosts have an easy install option, like a one-click install. But you're going to want to, write down your password, write down your user. You can definitely break things if you're not careful. Squarespace, they have almost like a wizard. Here's how you build your site. It's very easy. Wix, Click. So Shopify, Click. Again, all of these are very easy. Again, the drawbacks being you can't really take your site anywhere, right? You have to keep it there or rebuild it because nothing else is compatible. But honestly, if you have a small startup website, there's really no reason why you can't put it on any of these other sites. But if you're going to build this whole thing, you're going to spend you're going to have 30 pages and it's like your life's work. I honestly, I would pay to get someone to set it up for you, and then they can train you on how to take it from there. So if you guys have a website that you currently have and you want to improve it and it's on WordPress, contact a developer. Like they can bring it back to life, give it some buzz, put a new skin on it, and you can keep going. You don't have to leave WordPress. You just need to get a new theme, basically. Okay. This is our favorite hosting company. I've used a lot. Again, I started at GoDaddy, and then I just wanted my website to do more. I wanted it to have a directory. I wanted it to have, video galleries and picture galleries, and beautiful contact forms, multi-step forms. I just wanted it to be more than just, a book. So I found this hosting company that it's just fast. You have all the resources that you need, plenty of room in the back end. For anyone who's worked with WordPress and has anyone worked with WordPress and been in the back end and it just be so slow, pages not loading, you can't edit things, that's because your website doesn't have enough resources. I would recommend that if you've been with the same hosting company for a long time, I would take a look at what you're paying and what you're getting, because here at SiteGround, it's going to show you exactly what you're getting. I'm actually going to head on over. I'm gonna go rogue here, guys. And there's a couple other ones that are great too. I'll go over. Okay, they redid their website. This is awesome. Here we go. Web hosting. You can do WordPress hosting specifically as well. Okay, so let's talk about what you can expect as for resources goes, right? So usually, if you just have one website, the startup is absolutely fine. So you can have unmetered traffic, you get a free SSL, which I love. Who here used to pay $80 for a security certificate until Google was like, oh no, I want everyone to have a security certificate, or I'm going to show that it's not secure. So this is when the SSL revival happened, So SiteGround gives you a free SSL, which is very helpful. You can sell stuff, you can manage WordPress, you can do some caching. They have their own plugins that make your website secure, fast, and manageable. Unlimited databases, 30 days money back, add collaborators, which means that you can add a developer to your account so that they can set up your stuff. You can get free email, but I don't really recommend using email from your hosting company. Never will, never have. And for the first year, you get a huge discount, but then expect it to be about $15 a month for after the first year. So yeah, 10 gigabytes of web space. That you think it's a lot, and it is, unless you don't resize your images. So who here? I'm just calling out everyone today. I know. Hey, I mean, you've seen my disaster of a presentation so far. My dog's barking at me, and who even knows what presentation we're doing today? But I can tell you a lot about image upload. So if you upload an image without resizing it, what used to happen was that WordPress would let you. And so you would have a huge photo gallery on your site, and it would load, and it would take you would see section by section, this image loading so slowly, right? So you definitely want to resize your images before you upload them, especially if your audience is mobile. It takes a little bit of time to know, what to put on your website and how to build it. That's another presentation, which actually I had up today. So come to that one. You have to come to that one now. But yeah, so if it's mobile first, you want to stay light on the images. You want to make sure that everything is one column, very easy to read. So, design it how your users would prefer it. Okay, let me go back here. Okay, some other hosting platforms. InMotion, I'm gonna go ahead and type this in, and I will make sure I put that slide in this presentation so you have it. So it is InMotion, that is a really great host. Flywheel is a really great host. DreamHost is a really great host. I don't recommend Bluehost that much. I don't recommend GoDaddy. I don't recommend HostGator. Sorry, Dawn, about that one. But any of those are really good. And there's probably others. People are getting smarter and they know what the people want, and they're all using just super fast servers. So expect to pay more than you ever had before, though, for sure. And my dog is losing his mind again. Okay, working from home is awesome. All right, let's talk ease of use. So a lot of these have their own drag and drop builders. This one is an example of Squarespace. So here you have text, you can add quotes, you can have images, videos, and they're all basically models. So let me show you an example of what that looks like. For WordPress, we like to use a theme called Divi. And with this page, you can actually see all of the elements in action. So we love this part. So this is everything that Divi can do. Again, this is WordPress, but other sites have it too. So here's an example of an accordion menu, if you guys can see that. This is how it would look. So if you have content that fits this perfectly, this would be a great model to add. Audio. Bar counters, you can even add like animated stats, which is great. Blog. Blurbs, which have icons on them. And you can pick from a lot of icons. Button styles, call to action boxes, circle graphs, countdown timers. You can just add a contact form on the fly, no code needed. You can add a comment box so people can post on your page or your blog. And this is where you can just drop in your own code. So if you're integrating with another application, like a book, like a booking link, you just paste that right in and you're good to go. Dividers, email opt-ins, which again, sync with Constant Contact and MailChimp. Portfolios that are filterable. So if they click on the icon, it will move around and filter. Galleries. Hero boxes, again, icons. Login forms. Staff boxes. The number counters are fun. I'm sure you've seen these. Different menus, maps even. Although it's a bit more complicated to install since Google made it more difficult. Portfolios, carousels, sliders, so fun. Pricing tables. So what I love about this is it really allows you to plan your content and not just paste it in, but really make it special. Testimonial boxes, and you can add more than one, so it'll become a slider. Tabs, which is a really great way to kind of provide your content information without having them to leave the page, right? So all of these platforms have something like this similarly, but you'll never know until you try it out. So think about your content, and then from there, that's when you're gonna, know kind of what's happening. And you can even use a wireframe too. So you can kind of just sketch it out and be like, okay, well, what's the purpose of this page? What content's gonna go on it? What kind of design can I make? What boxes does it need to be in? And make sure you also include that call to action, which is super important, so that you have to ask for the sale sometimes in order to get it. So this is what the Divi builder looks like, the back end, but it also has a front end that looks much better. But this is the default view. So Divi also has a drag and drop feature where you just move around, and I can even give you a demo of that if we have time left. Squarespace, again, very similar, but they don't have as many options. So this is keeping it simple. And they're like, listen, you probably don't need that much, but if, here's, and you'll see a sidebar here. So you can see there's a little bit more, but they have a calendar you can add, menus, their code, open table. So they've got some, open table has their own integration. And I will say what's cool about Squarespace is that, they have industry specific designs, which could help you. But keep in mind, at the same time, if everyone's using their industry specific templates, then you're going to look a lot like everyone else. But I think that sort of comes to the territory of having a templated website with these platforms. Okay. Shopify, again, it focuses mostly on products, but it does give you some customization options. I will say that if you're going to use Shopify, I recommend you buy a theme flat out that you like the look of, because editing a Shopify theme is very specialized. You have to hire a special developer to get in the back end because they use their own language, if you will, to build their themes. So I would buy a theme you love. There's many to pick from, and then use that theme and just plan not to change anything on it and save yourself some headaches, would be my opinion on that one. But it's really great for products. And they do have blogs too. Wix, as you can see, Wix has a lot of options. And like I was saying, see all the pages here? Wix is really known for its organization of a larger website. So you might want to consider it if you have a lot of content that people need to use. Try not to give away too much content though, because you want them to still contact you. So maybe do some freebies where, you give them, they give you their name and email, and then they can download it. So think about that when you're looking at, the website content and whatnot. So yeah, so this is really good for a big website, an organization. And as you can see here, they have, their toolbar, and, their interface has definitely gotten better. So great for big websites. Okay. Any questions so far before I talk about the theme customization? Let me take a look here at some comments. Joseph says, my company currently uses Shopify. How would adding a host company benefit us further? I'm not sure if I fully understand what a hosting company does. Got it. So Shopify, I was like, I've never heard of Shopify. Yes, so Shopify, Joseph, has its own host built in, so you don't need to do anything. It already has one. Think of the hosting company is basically where your website lives. I always talk about the website's like a library card catalog. I don't know what ages I'm speaking with, but if you remember the library card catalog, give me a yes before I go too far into this. But you walk into, you want a book, right? And so, oh, thank you. You want a book, so you go to the card catalog and you pull it out, and okay, and then you find the book. You have the book information in your hands from the library card catalog. That is your domain. And this card catalog has your domain on it, and it lets you know where to find the book in the library. So think of the shelf as the hosting company and the book on the shelf as your website. And you'll notice that in a library, many books share the same shelf, right? So that's hosting. So hosting, and this is all like shared hosting where your website lives with a bunch of other websites on a server somewhere. So that's how it works. And a lot of these, I'm going to call them web builders like Squarespace, Shopify, Wix. They have their own hosting account that they put all their stuff in, and you don't have to worry about anything. That's one of the benefits of using one of these platforms. WordPress, you're going to get your own server, install it, and then pay that. So really you're paying for the service, but you're not paying for the hosting when it comes to like Squarespace and Shopify. I hope that answered your question. Any other questions? All right, let's talk about theme customization. One more. So when you build your site with WordPress, what happens? Magic. No. Okay, so think of Squarespace, Shopify, Wix. They do what they do. You can go to their website, you see exactly the features that they have and what you can do with your site. WordPress is like a DIY experience where you build it from the ground up. So you find a hosting company, which we have a link for you here. You sign up with the hosting company, you get to the back end, you log into your account, and it's like, what do you want to do? And I'm like, okay, install WordPress. Then you install WordPress, and now WordPress is installed, and now you can log into WordPress and start using it. And WordPress is going to be your website, but you got to build it. And what does that mean? That means you got to pick a theme and add content. So really WordPress just, because the software itself is open source and free, so many people make things compatible with it. And so that's why WordPress can do so much more, because, you know, there are some apps with Squarespace and Shopify and Wix, but developers like to use free stuff so that they can make money, I guess. It's just always been like a culture of some sort. So anyway, so anyone at any time, because it's open source, can edit WordPress and make it their own, you know, and code for it and all that good stuff. There's a whole team that works on it. So once you pick a theme, you can customize it. You don't have to use it as is. And when we're talking about a theme, it controls what your website looks like, the colors, the fonts, the layouts. So that's what your theme is. And Squarespace, Shopify, Wix, all these companies allow you to pick a theme too, but they tend to have limited amount. There are free WordPress themes you can pick from. They have a library, and they're pretty good. Again, this depends on what content you want. But there are just so many amazing different themes out there, hundreds of thousands, maybe even more, where you can pick one that's going to feel really unique to you, you know, and then you can customize it. Maybe you want to customize the colors or the fonts, definitely the imagery. You know, you don't want to have a lot of stocky websites or stocky photos, so you don't feel real. You know, you got to customize it so it feels authentically you. But that's really the customization part of the theme. So WordPress, you can use any theme you want. And themes sometimes come with a builder. They all do, really. And that allows you to just build things like you've never imagined. I love being able to add content to a section and change how many columns there are and which ones are wider than other columns. And you just can really design around the content and not the other way around. So it really gives you some customization options. Another question from Akima. So build on WordPress.org, then host on WP.com. Gotcha. No, WP.com is like WordPress's sister company, basically. WordPress.org is where you download the free software that powers the website, but then you have to put it on a hosting account like SiteGround. Okay, cool. So Squarespace, beautiful, absolutely beautiful themes. But once you are locked into a layout, you can't change it on the fly. And so at this point, you know, it's going to be more difficult to change the look of your theme. So the lock-in, meaning if you want to change it, is pretty severe. Shopify, very similar, but there's a lot of apps that give you flexibility and building custom pages and that kind of thing. So there are some apps, but a lot of them are paid, just know that. And Wix, just pick the theme you want and resign yourself to using it as is. There's not a whole lot you can do. Another place you can start is just by looking at the different themes you can pick from. And if you don't like any of the themes that the platform has, you're not going to like what your website becomes. So make sure that you like what you see on these platforms before you commit to one. All right, let's talk a little bit about SEO. We have time. WordPress has a lot of amazing plugins for SEO. I'm really good at SEO. I don't know, just for some reason, I've always just taken to it. And what I love about it is that you can use different plugins. So think of plugins or just add-ons. So WordPress is like this hub, and you can just keep adding on to it so it can do so many cool things. And one of them is called Yoast SEO. There's a lot of other ones out there. I'm just committed to Yoast. I think sometimes it's not necessarily about which one you use, but that you're actually using a tool. So don't get too hung up on like which one you're using. But there are some ones out there. And there is a free version. I got the premium because I really want to come up. I'm competitive. I really want to come out there. And it's really formulaic. It tells you exactly what you need to do and how to write your content so that you rank. Now, it's not as easy as that because a lot of SEO is what your competitors are doing as well. How long your site's been registered and how long it's been in existence. You know, even to what voice you're using. Is it easy to read? I mean, that's how intense these search engines are getting. It's wild. But at least starting with putting your key phrase in one and in the right places is what's good. I'm gonna give you one trick, and this is the one golden, well, actually I have two golden rules, but this is one of them. So get your pens and papers, people. If you want to rank for a key phrase, fancy shoes, Delaware. That's what I'm going with for this example. You need an entire page dedicated to it. If you want to rank for a key phrase, you need an entire page dedicated to it. And from there, then it's formulaic and how to optimize for this key phrase and what kind of content you need to have. So that's really SEO. SEO content is always king. Content is going to be so important. And I'm going to give you a quick tip. Usually the search engines are looking for 300 to like 2,500 words. 300 if it's like a service page, but if it's like cornerstone content or like a blog article, they're looking for like 2,500, which I realize is a broad range, but you don't want too little or too much. So with WordPress, there's a formula I can follow. And I know it, and it's really complex, not too complex, but it's very in-depth, I meant to say comprehensive. So with Squarespace, it does it for you. You're just popping in your content with keywords, and they have some extensions, but it's not super great. Shopify, some basic SEO features. Wix, very similar to Squarespace. It gives you some global settings to set your pages up properly, but doesn't really help you write your content. So keep that in mind. There are some things. There's something called Surfer SEO, I believe, that helps you write your content. Surfer SEO, I'll go ahead and paste it into the chat here. I believe that's it. Yeah, so for example, if someone says, hey, I have a Squarespace site and I want to rank, I usually go, oh, I don't know if I want to take that on. And the reason for that is because when something doesn't give you the tools that you need, that work, your hands are kind of tied. And I don't feel right taking someone's money if I know I can't do everything I can for them, especially if they're in a competitive market. So think about, if you need a rank for very industry competitive, like let's say I'm a designer, for instance. Who here knows a designer or a photographer? We're everywhere, right? So in this case, I like to invest in something more comprehensive so I can stand out. If your industry is more niche, you might not even really, this might not be very hard for you to get ranked, at least reasonably. Okay, let's talk about some extended functionality. Regina, you squeezed in a question, I'll answer it. What about Wix is hard to rank? Gotcha. In that sense, really, it's just when you optimize for a key phrase, you pop it in to let them know this is what I want to optimize for. And there's a bunch of stuff you have to do in order for it to be effective. Wix doesn't really give you those options. There's some global stuff, but not like on a page-by-page basis. So really, they can help you rank for like one key phrase, but if you're trying to do many of them, they're limited, because SEO can be a bit too comprehensive, and maybe they think their users don't even need that. So you can give it a go, and you can get around it by manually entering some things and then checking it with maybe Surfer SEO to see how well your content's being written. So there are tools that you can probably use to do this, but there will be some coding things that you might be missing out on without getting too technical. Andreas, to clarify, when I say page, I mean a specific page of a website. Yeah. Yeah, a single page. Michelle Bowling says, sorry, I'm late. Did I miss a lot? You did. You missed my dog barking several times and the wrong presentation to start. So that's about it. Okay. Back to extended functionality. Okay, I better hurry up. WordPress, if you can dream it, you can do it. I mean, you can do anything you want with it. It's amazing. I even have a quiz on my website. People take a quiz, it gives them the results, they can download a PDF all about it. Like, it's just wild what you can do. Squarespace, more limited than other options. There are some things you can do to get around it, and there's something called Zapier. And Zapier is like a connector app. So it says, we're trying to do this, but it doesn't automatically, like this program doesn't sync with this program, but I'm going to try to do it. And so Zapier is kind of like this middleman that makes things talk to each other that normally wouldn't. And I'll be honest with you, that's a bit above my pay grade when it comes to automation and stuff, but that is possible if you would like to dive into that. It could really help with that. So we got a lot of stuff going here, guys. Okay, so extended functionality. I talked a little bit about this on the slides. I'm going to move through this pretty quickly. E-commerce. Shopify is king when it comes to e-commerce if you want something easy peasy above all. But with WordPress, again, I'm a control freak. You know what's cool with WordPress, with e-commerce? I have a store where it's like a blank store, right? It's like t-shirts with nothing on them. And you design your logo and you design these t-shirts and you can then publish it to your website. They buy it, it gets sent back to this company and they ship the product. They print the product, they ship the product. Right? Amazing. So that's the power of third party, my friends. So lots of cool stuff. So all these companies, you can sell something on them. It just depends on what it is you're selling and what kind of shipping options you need. WooCommerce is pretty complex, but it just, you can do everything with it. I love it. Squarespace, again, they make this pretty easy. It's a pretty easy to use form. And I would check it out if you're interested. If Shopify is just a bit too, if you don't have that many products and you want something that looks nicer, Squarespace is definitely for you. Shopify, you can see they've got lots of options here as well. Wix, pretty basic, honestly. Support, okay, so not a whole lot of support apparently. Hey, oh, I'm trying to remember who you were, Robert, I think. When you said you talked to Wix, are you paying for like a premium plan? Let me know, because if not, I need to update those. Okay. All right, cool. Yeah, so that still stands. Okay. What to do after you get your website set up, guys? You have to map out your pages and purpose. What is the purpose of your website? Are you selling? Are you buying? No. Are you selling? Are you trying to get people to come to an event, you know, or buy a product? What is it? Is it to call you? Is it to book an appointment? Like, know what that is. It's so important because everything you do should have that goal in mind. You can go ahead and download our worksheet, by the way, to get started with your value proposition. And if I am correct, next time I think will be, I don't know if you know this, Rachel, but I think it might be the presentation I did today. So if you want a continuation of this, that's coming up soon. And yeah, and I promise my dog will be barking this time. Pretty sure. Just give him some peanut butter. We're gonna be all set.
Yes, I can actually share. I have a link to all of your upcoming webinars. Give me just one moment and I will share those. If you thought this presentation was great,
I don't know if I would say great, but it was solid. Entertaining. Can we say entertaining at least?
They are all fantastic. She does a great job. And we have, I think there are 5 more coming up in this series. So should be great. Yeah, she really is fantastic.
Oh, thank you so much. That means a lot after my worst presentation ever.
Agree. Well, you guys, if you guys have any more questions, feel free to please put them in the chat now. And I'm just going to do some of our just like housekeeping work. since all of you are here, I know you're interested in building a website or improving your existing one. So I am also going to drop into the chat our digital connect form. You can sign up there, and we provide no cost assistance with website creation, updates to an existing site, or converting a website to a new platform. So say you're on a platform right now that Jane mentioned that maybe isn't working out perfectly for you and you want to move it to one of her recommended ones, we can also help you with that. So please, if you're interested, you can fill out that form there. And then lastly, I have one more link for you guys, and this is our survey. Our survey helps us to just get all of your feedback so that we can improve all of our webinars in the future. We really do value your feedback and we do take it into consideration. It is also required by our funders, the Small Business Administration, so that we can continue to offer these no-cost webinars to you. So with that being said, you'll also get all of this information in a follow-up email. So perfect. And with this, I am gonna let Jane take a look at any other additional questions. Please, again, we have a little bit of time left, so if you have any questions, please pop them into the chat now and we can get back to you on those. Oh, you are muted, Jane.
Hello, I'm here. And I'll send you the new presentation so that you can send them the correct one. So after our call.
Perfect.
And,
yes, thank you.
Cool. John, I'm not sure if you're still here, but I answered your question. Let me know if you have any additional ones. Anyone else want to ask me anything? Ask me anything. Andreas, any firsthand experience with services like Bookable for items that are rentable? That's interesting. I have not heard about that, but I'm going to learn about it, which I know doesn't help you, but maybe next time. I don't. I'm actually quite curious about it. So do they like store things in a warehouse? Like, do you own them and then they rent them on your behalf? Maria, I actually have a really good site for photographers. I set someone up on it once, but we didn't get too far into it. But check out Pixpa. Let me go and type this in. What I love about this is that it'll automatically watermark your images. You can have lots of galleries. You can sell your prints right there. There's just so much you can do with it. So definitely check that out. The price is based on storage space, but it could do so much, and I was really impressed with it. Yeah. Elizabeth, the GoDaddy sites can be moved. I want to try WordPress. Okay, so if you're using GoDaddy's builder, like the build template builder, you can't move it. You just have to recreate it, you know, by copying and pasting the text and downloading the images and moving it. So if you try WordPress, you can move your WordPress site around usually on all sorts of different hosting companies. And you can find a lot of developers for it. You're going to pay more for a developer for WordPress than you will for a developer for GoDaddy because it has limited functionality, which means you're going to hear the word no a lot. Like, can I do this? No. But they are improving their builder and they are trying to compete with the current market. Obviously, the industry has changed a lot since they started. So although I'm not a big fan of them now, I'm open-minded about what they could be. Regina, what do you think about the Wix app offer to their customers? Whoops, oh, wow, we got this thing. Blah, blah, blah. Hold on, I lost you. More questions coming in. What do you think about the Wix app offer to their customers to make their own app like a shopping and online class? Okay, so I think apps are great, but they're also, no one's gonna download something for such a small thing. Like an app is something that people want to continue to use over and over again. And if you have an app and you only have 2 products, like, will they download, take the time to download the app? So it might be just like the thing you don't need, you know? I don't know. I'm torn on apps. apps should really serve a purpose. You know, do they make shopping easier, for example? But yeah, they'd have to keep coming back to it to make it worth the download. Let me see. Events. Yeah, I'm sorry to be a negative Nancy, but I'm just like, oh, it needs to be cool, you know. Event rental company, tables, chairs, tents, etc. allows to plug into your own site as functionality show items that are not available. Interesting. That sounds cool. I'm so curious about the inventory. So I'll take a look at that, and maybe next time I see you, you're coming to next time, right? Then I'll have an answer for you. The digital connection program form. Okay, thank you. Thanks. Although you've not used Bookable, do you have any products? I don't have any renting type things. I just have suggestions where you kind of like you white label products. Printify and Printful are really good for that, where someone can order a shirt and it'll put their design on it and ship it for you and stuff. I hope that's the closest that I have experience with. But this is cool. I'm interested to know more about that. Okay, guys, we are out of time. Hit me up. If you have more questions, feel free to schedule a call with me. And here's my email address. And thank you for your patience today, and I will see you soon.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for attending. Thank you, Jane, for being here.
My pleasure.
We hope to see you all at future webinars, and please be sure to reach out one-on-one if you need assistance. Thank you so much for stopping by. Have a good one.
Bye.